Welcome to the Bare Metal Cybersecurity Plus podcast. This series helps you prepare for the CompTIA Security Plus exam with focused explanations and practical context. For a companion study guide, check out the Achieve CompTIA Security Plus 701 Exam Success by Dr. Jason Edwards. It is the most concise and complete Security Plus guide on the market, built for busy professionals who want to pass the exam fast and on their first try. You can find this book and others at cyberauthor.me. Security governance is the foundation of any effective cybersecurity program. Without governance, an organization has no structured approach to ensuring that its security practices are consistent, effective, and aligned with business goals. At its core, security governance refers to the framework of rules, responsibilities, and processes that ensure the organization's information security objectives are achieved. It shapes how decisions are made, how risks are managed, and how policies are created, enforced, and revised over time. One of the most important building blocks in this framework is the security guideline. Security guidelines are flexible recommendations that help staff and technical teams make decisions that align with organizational security principles. Unlike policies, which are mandatory, guidelines are suggestions meant to offer best practices. These are especially useful in situations where strict rules might not apply universally, or where the organization wants to encourage secure behavior without mandating it. For example, a guideline might recommend that employees encrypt all sensitive email messages, even if it is not yet a requirement. Over time, as risk and awareness increase, that guideline might evolve into a formal policy. The benefit of having security guidelines in place is that they offer clarity in the gray areas. They help staff understand the organization's preferred approach to certain technical or procedural decisions. In fast-paced environments, guidelines can support decentralized decision-making by ensuring that even when employees are working independently, they are still aligning with the broader security posture. This is especially important in hybrid work environments or when third-party vendors are involved. A well-crafted guideline provides just enough direction to influence behavior without stifling productivity or innovation. Let's consider a real-world example of how security guidelines can be effectively implemented. Imagine an organization that is moving many of its services to the cloud. Rather than immediately enforcing strict rules for cloud configuration, the organization develops a set of cloud security guidelines. These guidelines include recommendations on how to configure access controls, choose secure storage options, and avoid exposing management interfaces to the public internet. Technical teams use these guidelines as a reference when deploying new cloud systems, reducing the risk of misconfigurations. Over time, the most effective parts of those guidelines may be adopted as enforceable policy. This phased approach allows for flexibility while still guiding the organization toward better security. Another example could involve mobile device usage. A company might issue guidelines on the acceptable use of personal devices for business communication. These guidelines may suggest the use of a mobile device management solution, the installation of antivirus software, and regular operating system updates. While these steps are not mandatory under the guideline, they represent the organization's preferred approach. Employees who follow these suggestions reduce their own risk exposure, which in turn strengthens the organization's overall security. This soft form of governance is especially valuable when trying to influence behavior in areas where personal preference and technology use intersect. Let's now turn our attention to the broader category of security policies. While guidelines are optional best practices, policies are binding rules that all employees and systems must follow. These are the backbone of formal security governance. A well-defined security policy serves as a contract between the organization and its users, administrators, and service providers. It spells out what is allowed, what is required, and what is prohibited when it comes to the use of systems, access to data, and handling of sensitive information. Security policies are essential for setting expectations and reducing ambiguity. For example, an acceptable use policy clearly defines how company systems can and cannot be used. This might include restrictions on accessing personal social media, using peer-to-peer file sharing programs, or installing unauthorized software. By making these expectations explicit, the organization protects itself from legal liability and technical vulnerability. A strong policy does more than just define boundaries. It also supports enforcement actions, such as disciplinary measures, for violations or technical controls that block risky behavior. One of the key benefits of a clear policy is that it enables consistency across the organization. In environments where multiple departments, regions, or contractors are involved, consistent policy enforcement helps avoid confusion and fragmentation. For instance, a password policy that applies to all systems ensures that every user must create strong, unique passwords, no matter where they are located or what application they use. This standardization makes it easier to manage risk and improves the effectiveness of tools like single sign-on or multi-factor authentication. There are many examples of real-world incidents that illustrate the importance of having strong, enforceable security policies. One such example comes from the healthcare industry, where organizations are required to comply with the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. In one case, a hospital faced significant penalties after a breach revealed that employees were sharing login credentials to access patient records. Investigators found that while there were general expectations around security, the organization lacked a specific policy forbidding credential sharing. Had a clear policy been in place, and had it been enforced, the breach may have been prevented. Another example can be found in the financial sector. A large bank implemented a policy requiring encryption for all data stored on portable devices, such as laptops and external hard drives. This policy was strictly enforced through technical controls that blocked data transfers to unencrypted storage. When a contractor's laptop was stolen from a hotel room, the investigation found that no sensitive data had been exposed because the encryption policy had been properly implemented. This outcome not only protected customer data, but also spared the organization from public backlash and regulatory fines. Effective policies must also include mechanisms for enforcement and review. Having a policy on paper is not enough. It must be integrated into daily operations. That means training employees, monitoring compliance, and regularly auditing the effectiveness of the policy. Organizations should also be prepared to revise policies in response to emerging threats, changes in technology, or lessons learned from past incidents. Good governance is not static. It evolves with the organization and the threat landscape. As you prepare for the Security Plus exam, remember that understanding the distinction between policies and guidelines is critical. Policies are mandatory, guidelines are recommended. Both serve an important role in security governance, but they are used in different contexts and for different purposes. Expect to see questions on the exam that test your ability to recognize when each is appropriate and how they contribute to a secure environment. Here is a tip for this section of the Security Plus exam. Make sure you understand not just the definitions, but also the function of governance elements. Be ready to identify real-world scenarios where a policy versus a guideline would be appropriate. The exam often presents situations that require you to choose the best governance tool based on the context. Think critically about enforceability, flexibility, and risk level when answering these types of questions. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Bare Metal Cybersecurity Plus podcast. For more episodes, tools, and study support, visit us at baremetalcyber.com. And before you take the test, make sure to check out the practice questions in the book Achieve CompTIA Security Plus SY0-701 Exam Success by Dr. Jason Edwards. They cover every domain and are a powerful way to lock in your knowledge.